I guess everybody's kind of mentioned that you're playing against a team with the opportunity, if you beat them, to pass them in the table and potentially be number one at the end of the day. Is that something that you have to impress upon the players, or do they kind of get it without needing that reinforcement?
I don't have to say anything. These are the easy games. Saturday was a tough one. You know, you're away from home, comforts of your own building, your own turf, your own fans. All of those things make life difficult. And then, against a good side and against a side that don't have loads of fans. So the atmosphere has to be created amongst the group. And there are a lot of challenges, of course, going away from home. But coming back home, playing against a side as good as New York, as effective as New York. I think top goal scoring side in the East. Said to a couple of people, and probably before, the best development system in the country, probably. There might be one or two that question that, but they have a pipeline of players constantly. The only difference between maybe one of the two more experienced players playing and not is, of course, their appreciation for the game, but it doesn't stop them being positive, energetic, forceful. The way that they play and the first team plays, is a really difficult style to play against. And the players will be well and truly amped up for this one. And my only hope is there's a lot of people there to get behind us and push us on.
You mentioned that home crowd. I think 7 of the final 10, I believe, are at home. Is that something that you feel like you can build a special run in that home stretch a little bit?
Well, when we looked at the fixtures when they first came out, of course, you look towards the end of the season and say, look, we've got some serious challenges, travel and good away teams to play against. We've got to get ourselves in order to get points out of those games. I think that job away from home has been pretty much done to a good degree. We've got a very good away record. If anything now, having played less games, I think everyone wants to make sure that we finish with a good record. Our home form, and most teams' home form, really dictates whether or not you're going to win something or you're going to be in a good position come post-season. So 7 at home, we've got some tough teams, probably none tougher, certainly at this point, than New York. And if all goes well, these games will just get more and more important.
What are the challenges that come with playing several teams towards the top of the standings in a short period of time?
Well, of course, the calibre. You're running into different challenges. New York and the style of play is very different to a team like Pittsburgh or Louisville. So you've got different challenges. The positives that come out of it are that it should keep the players on a real good level of performance and attitude weekly. But I suspect, as always, with most teams, results are paramount in that. If we can maintain a good run of form, it keeps that momentum going to the next big game. And as I just said, if we do our job right, each game that comes along will be slightly more important than the previous. And that, of course, is the challenge that we have to meet.
Obviously, New York is at the top scoring side in the East. I believe only Phoenix has scored more than them all in all the league. But you guys have conceded 1 goal in the last 6 matches. How do you feel like defensively you'll match up with them and potentially be able to keep them off the score sheet?
I don't think they're ever easy to keep off the score sheet. They're so positive in the way that they play. They, in many cases, throw a lot of caution to the wind. The energy of the group is the foundation of the way they play, and they ask an awful lot of the players going forward. It can leave them vulnerable. We saw in the game that got called off, they started like a train, went in front, looked like it could be a very, very tough night. But, on the counter-attack, they can be a bit vulnerable. And when you commit as many players as they do to attacking situations, teams like ourselves can take advantage of that. There's no doubt about it. We've proved that. Our goal scoring record ourselves is admirable. In terms of keeping off the sheet, it's not often I'll say it, but as long as we win the game, I don't care how many they score.
Is it tougher for the midweek game or the game kind of at the end of a 3-game and 8-day stretch to worry about guys' fatigue and guys, being fresh for the game?
This game's not a problem, not at all. I think most players, having had a week in between last week and an away game and a bit of travel, but not crazy. Everyone's looking forward to this one at home, big occasion. It'll be after this. You go towards the weekend, there'll be an assessment of where bodies are at, soreness, hopefully no injuries to worry about on top of what we've got. And then really what the right group is to get a job done against a very stout and difficult Charleston side. And at this point, a side that's had more success against us than any. I know we've probably played them more times than most, but having beaten us twice, once we get to that point, I'm sure in the group there'll be a renewed vigour to put the record straight there, and it'll certainly be come what may. I mean, of course we'll be all guns blazing tomorrow night to get a victory and to put ourselves in a position to go top. But then we won't want to relinquish that if it happens, and the only way you can do that is by fighting off the challenges. You're fighting one way or another. You're fighting to close the gap, or you're fighting to keep people away from you. So the season's big. I think that's in a lot of teams' minds. The way the format plays out this year with 10 playoff teams, the first 4 obviously, 7 to 10, having a one-off to get into the playoff running, as it were. If we can somehow get ourselves first and foremost into that top 4, then I think there will have been an achievement. But as we sit here right now with 10 games to go, if somebody had said to me, look, 10 games to go, you're in a fabulous spot, you're sitting third, you're 2 points off the top on the same games. There's 1 or 2 teams with a game in hand, but you're going to have to play them, most of them. Indy's the only team that are obviously going to avoid us, but you're going to play them, and now you dictate your future. I'd have taken that, definitely. And certainly with a team the way they're playing as well.
Having started this game tomorrow one time and not finishing it kind of changed the way you mentally approach it?
At this point, to be honest, I think, we're heading in the right direction as a team. And even though we played 45 minutes the last time, at least we got an idea of what it's like, what kind of team they are, having played them in New York, tied them, the last game I think we're winning 2-1, I believe. So I think we're going to be going into this game highly motivated.
You guys were shut out against Bethlehem, but then had a 3-goal performance this past Saturday. Do you feel like you kind of broke out of a slump, or do you feel like there wasn't even a slump in the first place, maybe?
No, I wouldn't say it's a slump, considering the fact that we've not conceded, we've conceded 1 goal in the last 5 games. We've scored more than 10 goals. I don't think it's a slump. I think it was just, Bethlehem, defensively you have to give them credit. They sat back and we had a couple of chances. We didn't have as many, but we could have utilized, obviously just 1 goal. But it didn't happen. I just think Red Bull game is going to be different. They always high press. They always have a lot of energy. So I think it's going to be more open compared to the Bethlehem game.
How do you handle that press? Especially, I don't think Charlotte pressed you guys very hard either, a little bit. But how do you handle kind of that change of gears in the sort of team that you're facing?
I think that's the reason we're here today. Day before a game, try to prepare. We have the right tools to do the work. Obviously, we got our coaching staff helping us in terms of preparing us, things we need to do into going into tomorrow's game, because every game is different.
Considering where you guys are in the standings, how much would a win against Red Bull mean?
Honestly, we have 10 games left. Every game is important at this point in time. If we win tomorrow, we just, as a team, I think we would like to win all the 10 games. If we do that, then who knows, we might even win the league. So I think we're just going to take 1 game at a time and see what happens. 3 points every game.
Does Coach talk about what's at stake tomorrow night?
I think we all know. I think we all know what's at stake. like I said, the big picture is we played Charlotte this past weekend. The whole focus on Charlotte, because if we start saying, oh, we might win and be fast, and I think we have to take care of business first. If it means winning tomorrow, then that's great.
You played with a number of different players in midfield, obviously with Michael's injury and then Matt's injury as well, and now Ken playing in midfield. How does your role change, and how have those partnerships been?
No, I mean, I think honestly it doesn't change as much, because these guys have been, we have a team that's been here for 6-7 months. Even if Ken hasn't been playing in the midfield, obviously he plays in the back, plays central, which is kind of similar, considering the fact that the only difference is there's a lot of pressure in the middle. But I think, we understand each other, we know each other, we know how each other move, we know how each other plays. So I think last game Matt Lagressa came in after not playing for, a month or so, and we still were able to connect and do well in the midfield.
Was it nice to get reunited with Matt over the last couple games?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have guys that, it sucks to get injured, It's always good to have a full squad, because it helps with rotation. It helps with having 20 or 22 healthy guys that can actually compete, So irrespective of who's playing, who's on the bench, I think it's good to have healthy guys that can actually have an impact.
When some of these guys have gotten hurt, do you kind of say, here was my experience last year, here's how you kind of get through it mentally and physically, or do you kind of let them do their thing when they're...
I mean, I just, obviously I sympathize with them, but I just let them do their own thing, because I think we all deal with injuries different, Some people, personally me, I don't want somebody saying, it's going to be okay when, it's for me to actually push myself. So I just sympathize and, hope that they come back in time before the playoffs,
At Red Bull from when you were with that team?
Yeah, there are a couple guys. Chris Lima, I knew from the academy, and a couple other guys I can't think about from my head, but it's obviously still the same coaching staff and coaches that I've known since I was 12, 13 years old. So,
do you text those guys a little smack talk over the course of the week?
Yeah, for sure. I've been texting Ibra, their assistant coach, the whole time, so we're up for it and we're ready to go.
What can you take away from the last half game you guys played against them in Nashville?
Yeah, I think we definitely the first 10 minutes was a bit tough for us when a goal down, but I think the way we battled back and ended the half was really good, and we found some things and how to unhinge their press and the way they go about doing things, so hopefully we can carry on from that.
You've obviously played a New York system before. How do you plan to handle the high press?
I think we might have to go maybe a bit direct, playing in behind them a bit to start, and until the game settles down a little bit and when there's a little less energy taken out the game, and we can kind of settle in and try and control the game, hopefully.
Do they play differently at home than they do on the road?
No, it's the same. It's the same.
After the Charlotte game, Taylor said that you kind of told the locker room, okay, I celebrate now, but then it's on to Red Bulls. What do you kind of make of the mentality of this team right now, given what's at stake Wednesday night?
Yeah, I mean, we have, correct me if I'm wrong, 10 games left, and it's in our hands at this point. I think with 10 games, if we grab maximum points or as many points as we can, we're putting ourselves in a good spot to hopefully win some silverware. So we can't dwell on games. They're coming quick and fast. So take care of one job and on to the next. It's kind of our mentality right now.
How's it been playing with Ken Tribbett in midfield?
Yeah,
it's a different role for him.
It's been good. I mean, Ken's he's a good footballer, intelligent guy. So we kind of just work off each other and talk through things. So it's been fun for sure.
Is there something that you have to kind of change the way that you play because you're playing against a different type of player than if it was Michael or Matt next to you?
I don't think so. I think your job stays the same. At the end of the day, everyone knows what their role is and what they have to do. I mean, if Ken didn't know what he was doing, then the coach wouldn't put him out there. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, we know what we're doing and we communicate and we work through it.
What's been the key to this 6-game unbeaten streak right now?
I think we've been consistent. We know what we want to do. I think we're taking control of games, and hopefully we keep doing the same thing.
It's not just Red Bulls. Most of the end of the schedule is against a lot of the top half of the league. Does that sort of serve as a good test for you guys? If you can beat the best teams, then you deserve to be the best.
Absolutely. I think that's what it is. To be the best, you got to beat the best. So we won't have it any other way. So we just keep going.